Good morning. Where's the Hell's Bells?
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Last Call. My deepest apologies. I got lost in the brain spaces. Wondering. My apologies.
Well, I mean, we'll let it slide. We'll let it slide. It's Monday.
How's your weekend, Bender? Tell us a story while I catch my breath.
I spent the entire day yesterday on the boat because we were celebrating. We weren't, my wife and I and my son were not in town on my daughter's actual birthday. My kids' birthdays are just a couple days apart, and we took my son out of town. And my daughter wanted her birthday. She wanted to spend on the boat with her friends to do some tubing. So I got to spend the entire day with a bunch of little girls, literally driving in circles for 6 hours. Like that's they were on the tube the entire time. It's like you almost feel like a race car driver in a really slow race car, but it's like, okay, turn left again. Okay, turn left again. Okay, turn left again, just for hours.
But they had fun, and that's really
They had a blast. Yeah. We had one that was a first timer. She'd never been on a boat. She had a great time. We had another one that thought that the lake was salt water and maybe there were sharks in there. But once she got on the tube, she was fine. Yeah, they had a great time.
good. It's neat, man. So did you prefer doing that over knocking down trees and clearing land? Like if you were given a choice any day of the week, which one to do? Which one would it be?
Well, I mean, driving them around with the tube was a lot more fun, but you know, the whole time I'm still kind of in the back of my head going, I should be getting shit done right now, but you can't. In those scenarios, it's like you kind of got to just forget about everything else that's going on and be in the moment.
Deliver those smiles, man, to those kids. I'm sure they're still talking about it now. That's awesome, yeah. But just know this, that every minute you're not knocking it down, it's growing and laughing at you. This is the conclusion that I've come to, that it's constantly taunting every minute you're not there. Yeah. All right. Well, I bought that robot, man, the little iRobot thing.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, dude. I don't think I've ever made a purchase in my life that I've been like, wow, this thing is spectacular.
It's a game changer.
Spectacular. I named it Hero. I was talking to the dogs and I was explaining to them how Hero is the prime example of how doesn't ask for shit, doesn't tell you what it needs, is not all erotic and goofy, doesn't need to walk, that literally Hero does his job, and when I say go to its bed, it goes to its home. It immediately goes away.
Yeah.
I am in awe of Hero. In awe. Absolutely in awe. And I'm
Ours
really,
is-
really hopeful
Go ahead.
in my lifetime I am able to get a full-scale robot, like a full real one, because these things are amazing.
Yeah, ours is named Norma after our one of our previous housekeepers from way back who would like decorate the house with flowers and things from time to time, and the kids just loved her. And so we named ours Norma.
We struggle with the naming process. The first five names, we were like, well, that could be misconstrued as being not okay.
Jeez.
We were like, okay, so we did settle upon Hero. Okay, so let's go through a couple of brief pieces. I think it's important that we point out everything that we have been flipping out about and selling off of and all that kind of stuff, everything bad, all that kind of stuff. In case you didn't get the memo, all of those things are still present. In case we didn't, we forgot or are choosing not to remember, all of those things, all of those reasons are still ever present. The only difference is at a certain point, just like when you have stocks going up, you reach to the point to where you can't sustain, that level of up because it's not necessarily justified anymore because certain things that you were buying become priced in. Now, certain things that we're selling may indeed be beginning to be priced in when we start kind of form the semblance of a bottom. And I say semblance. With that being said, we have a heavy slate of earnings this week. We also have, while the U.S. data is somewhat subdued, there's a couple of items in there that are going to be fairly important the market can choose to react off of. There's bigger data coming out of the EU, Canada, and Japan. They're all set to release anything from jobs to inflation to additional monetary policy this week. So some of the overnight moves could be pretty intense. Canada trades alongside us for the most part, so we'll keep an eye on that as being one of our neighbors and kind of see what we play. Boeing got a large order, so murder plane looks like it's going to be up and running again. Paramount, which I thought was one of those interesting little lines that came through. Morgan Stanley downgraded him, stating a slowdown in ad revs on recession fears. Let's keep an eye on that. This whole ad revenue thing. It's been talked about. It's been mumbled. It's been grumbled. There's a debate as to what type of recession we're either in or could be walking into. I think any economist would tell you, and I am far from being one of those, that no recession is the same. No circumstance is the same. Nothing is the same. But they all have certain characteristics that define them as what they are. So let's keep an eye on stuff like that. The other thing that I thought was really interesting, Bender, copper got a nice little explosive bounce overnight. And the dollar appears to be kind of weakening as we come into the day. Copper historically has been viewed upon as being one of those indicators for growth and economic stability. I think it might make sense to kind of just take a peek at copper every once in a while, just see how it's stabilizing. Is it forming a bottom? Is it putting in a base? Is it doing something like that? Or is it just dead catting for another leg down? When we start talking about, global growth and expansion and all that kind of stuff versus, contraction, I think copper could be one of those things that kind of gives us a little bit of taste of what's going on. The other thing, chip deal is in Congress. I don't know what to say. Either they're going to pass it or they're not. I know that while the chart and setups on semis have not been spectacular, we have had a nice bounce. I also know that the flow, at least what I was looking at on SMH on Friday, was not super friendly. So again, let's keep an eye on semis because that is another, major growth indicator. With that being said, looks like we're in the gap season, Bender. Looks like everybody likes some gaps. Do you like some gaps?
Filling them? It's fun to fill them.
Still have that one down there at 379.
Sweet.
Wondering, I ponder heading into a pretty thick ER week. I don't know. But that's you're here to tell me all about that. So
I'll tell you about some levels that I've got. But yeah, there's some people posting in here. Obviously, Pelosi's NVIDIA position maybe a little foreshadowing.
Y'all remember all that square that she bought and got rolled on? I don't know that I'm going to go ahead and follow Nancy. I remember all that square she bought and took it right in the fucking face. It's like, anyways.
All right. So we currently sit 38.95 half. We need 39.15 to reclaim what was trendline support on the longer term parallel channel. I'll post that chart. It's kind of the same. There were two channels that we were talking about all week last week. One of them was acting as support, which we pierced below and then pop back above. The other one is acting as resistance. Every time we pop above it, we get knocked back down below. So those are kind of the longer term channels. We've got I've got a shorter term that I'm going to post this chart here, and you can see this wedge. This is only going back a couple of weeks to mid-June. And you can see that on that chart I just posted, that red line above is what was previous trendline support on the longer term channel. So this current trendline resistance and that previous trendline support, now potentially resistance, they meet right there at 39.15, 39.14, right in that area. So we've got to get up and above to continue this push up. So the kind of the key level that I have for today, just to kind of get started, is that 39.15. And if we can get that 39.15, what I've got above that would be 39.36 is the 50 MA on the daily, and then previous resistance up at 39.48. We take 39.48, and I think that opens the door to there's some numbers in between, but 39.80. If we don't hold and we start to move back down, we start giving this little rally, start giving it back up. We've got 38.80 was previous resistance. See if that acts as support. It's also the 20 MA on the 60-minute. Below that, you got 38.56, which is the 34 EMA on the daily, and 38.44, which is the 200 MA on the 60-minute. If we give all those up, then we go back down and start looking at that previous trend line support on the long-term channel going all the way back. That's down at 37.50-ish. Obviously, there's some levels in between, but those are kind of the keys.
All right. So how are you approaching this week?
Well, it depends. Do we pop above that 39.15 or not? Because that's what I'll be watching. That's what I'll be looking for. We get a break above that, and we could start cooking a little bit. I'd like to see us go back up this week and sniff 4,000. See if we can go test it and see what it's about. That's not that far away. So I'd like to see that, but if we continue to reject, up here 39.10 to 39.15, and we really start to, get a little momentum to the downside, then, we may go visit that trend line support. And just like we've got kind of, those two trend lines that we're using as resistance around 39.15, if it takes us 2 days to get there and we come back down to 37.50-ish, you also have two trend lines of support down at that level.
Okay.
You can see that in that chart.
It's hard not to see that there's some type of a base being built out, right?
Right. Trying to, yeah. Absolutely.
So it's trying to build out some type of a base here to be able to really, really work with. And I think there's at least for me personally, I have a different level of comfort trading within this market than I did, let's say, a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Just a different idea, a different thought process, a different way to kind of navigate it. So that's good. You got anything else?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Do we have the stunking gun today? Stunk.
Hello.
I continue to be corrected that it's stunk.
I
Not
don't
Stackington. No, I will do what I do. How's it going, man? How's the Tahoe?
It was quite good. Yeah, like my grandma said, you can call me whatever you want except for late for dinner, right? Yeah, Bender, I had the water themed weekend as well. Went camping with my girlfriend, got the paddleboard out. It was pretty nice. And
Living on the edge as usual.
yeah,
Just playing.
less drugs and alcohol this time around than my other camping trip, so that was good. Less keyword. The watch list I have for today was based on the tickers that popped on the weekly inside bar scan, which all have gotten a little move up, meaning they're all above last week's high, which is kind of an interesting thing to note. So if those hold above last week's high on it was Meta, Roblox, and Nvidia, then those could potentially have some continued upside. So Roblox, I originally had this line marked 40.3. It's kind of working as pre-market support, and then it stalled out at 41. So kind of would be watching the reaction to those levels. If we go down on Roblox, I'd be looking at this upper orb from Friday was 39.65-ish. Meta got aligned to below 166.75, and then a dark pool below that 166.3. And then to the upside, I'd be looking at about 168 even to break that. And then we have Nvidia pre-market resistance lined up with the dark pool at 163.6, and then I've got a line below 161.7. So that'll be what I'm watching on those. SPY looks like, again, this 11.2 billion at this 389.95 is still going to come into play. Couldn't break that pre-market. And then we also had 388.71. That was $2 billion from last couple weeks ago. So I'll be keeping an eye on that, as well as flow. That's all I got.
All right, very good. Well, we've got about 22 minutes until open. Personally, I am treating this week like an absolute brand new week. Anything that was last week is last week. Whole different set of circumstances, whole different set of my mindset is completely different walking into this week as it was the week before. I'm going to take it as it comes. Personally, I am not going to try to look too deep into anything, which is always a struggle for me, but I'm going to try not to do that. Really make sure that I'm watching the flow up against the levels that both Bender and Stankington put out. Because I think that gives, at least me personally, the best opportunity to thrive in this market is when I'm balancing those levels and those ideas up against the flow that I see, the narrative that I know. So that's my plan. That's where I'm at. I continue anything else, fellas?
That's it for me.
All right. Thank you, Bender. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys soon. I think the stocking is walking the pup.
Okay, why don't you be on time next time?
No, man. Honestly, I was outside walking around. It's about to rain, so I was trying to grab some equipment to bring back in, and I just got lost in space thinking about, well, if I just take that tree down and that tree down, that opens up that, and then I started to look behind, going, but then I have all this over here that I needed. Yeah, lost in Matrix. So my apologies.
In the Matrix. Lost in the Matrix.